Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Today we are going to talk about turning your Tutor LMS your Tutor LMS mobile and social with the BuddyBoss app. Joining me shortly should be Rayan from Tutor LMS or from Femium and Olio. Hopefully he'll be joining us soon. Until then though, please feel free throughout this to join us using the Q&A section to ask any questions that you'd like to ask throughout that, which I will then go through most likely towards the end of the webinar, but I will try to keep an eye on it throughout the webinar. And of course, I want you to engage in the chat. I can see it right here, so I will want to engage throughout that. But as I say, there is a lot to cover, not a lot of time, and a lot of exciting things. So let me just do a very brief recap what we're going to discuss today. We're going to discuss the challenges faced today by educators in the modern digital environment, especially when it comes to learner engagement and retention, and how that really impacts your referral success and the sales of your online courses. I'm then going to explain why social learning matters and how the mobile learning complements this now more than ever, considering the mobile learning industry is worth $70 billion this year alone. Then armed with that knowledge, we are recording, yes, armed with that knowledge, I'll then share with you some of the strategies that you can use to improve existing learners' journey and increase your sales, combining social and learning theories. So there's going to be a lot that I'm talking about the why, and there's going to be a lot covered in how we do that. So a part of that will also be the BuddyBoss app. Okay, we've been working extremely hard with Tutor LMS to build the BuddyBoss app for Tutor LMS. So I'm going to show you how it provides you the #1 solution to bring online courses with the Tutor LMS of courses, online courses with Tutor LMS to the mobile while building an online community with BuddyBoss. And I am super excited. We will be doing a full demo in here as well. Now, wrapping up to that, and this is really important here, and I should really start changing the slides. Here we go. Really important here today. There will be an exclusive deal offered to you today towards the end of here and Q&A, as I mentioned before, but do stick around. Because for anyone who is around at the very end of the webinar, I'm going to give you a download. There's only so much I can cover today. So I'm going to give you a download that takes these social learning strategies and gives you more information, more concepts, and what I would say is my kind of top 5 strong plugins that I would use that work really well with Tutor LMS and BuddyBoss that will help you implement and automate those social learning strategies. So super excited, can't wait to get started, and I really think this is really about time now to do this. So again, this should last 1 hour. I will wrap up at the hour mark, so it may mean Q&A gets cut slightly shorter if we have any problems, but let's begin. So before we kind of go straight into this, I want to ask you all a question, and I'm going to send you a poll now. I'd love to see some of the replies just to see exactly who we have here, and I'm going to launch the poll now. Who we have here, and where are you currently based? So do you have Tutor LMS already to provide courses? Are you using BuddyBoss at the moment on its own to build online communities? Maybe you're like myself. I've got 2 of them. I've had the Tutor LMS for a few years now and BuddyBoss for many, many years. Or maybe you've got none of those and you're looking at what the opportunities arise. Maybe you're using other platforms. Let me know. And it's great to see the chat is going through there now as well. Brilliant news. So looking at here, we have a lot of BuddyBoss customers. So welcome, great to see you here. Hopefully this is a familiar face to you, but we do have a lot of Tutor LMS only customers. And we have even some people with none of the options there as well. Well, thank you so much for that. No matter where you stand right today, you're going to walk away with this webinar with value and understanding about the future of education. And it's an area that I'm deeply interested, deeply passionate about, the same way with community building. So there's going to be a lot around here. So I'll end the poll now and we'll move on. So next thing now, tell me if this sounds familiar to you. If you've launched your courses, right? You've marketed it heavily. You've got traffic coming to your site. You're converting sales into students. They begin their courses, and maybe this is you yourself. You've never completed them. It is really not unusual to see less than 10% completion rate with self-paced online courses. And if that is you, if you're the one of those who've applied to courses, or maybe you're hosting courses and you have less than 10% completion, or you're not completing them yourself, I want to see that yes in the comment section right now. Tell me yes if you're one of those that never completes the course after paying for it. There we go. Look at that. Look, I'm guilty as charged as well on a regular basis. All right. This is a known issue. And like I say, online courses, 10% completion rate or less than 10% completion rate. So today, look, we're going to discuss several reasons why that happens. But before we dive into that, I think it's really important to understand why you should be concerned. I mean, they paid you after all. So, I mean, if they're not attending, does that really matter? Well, of course, absolutely it does. For some of you, this may have been a beginner course with the goal of enrolling them into an advanced paid course. But for some of you, this is just one of many courses to go through. And even if it's your only class, maybe it's your master class, if you don't have people completing it, you will have an impact in revenue. So the first thing here, right, let's break this down. Course feedback. You've spent all that time and effort going in to create the courses. You think you've put together the best course out there available, fine-tuned for your audience, solving their pain point, solving their problem. You want to see students progressing, all right? There's a bit of fulfillment in yourself here. You want to see students completing the courses. And if they're not completing it, is that a weakness or a barrier to the course? You don't know. All right, that feedback loop that comes around from anyone taking your courses is essential for your course improvements to understand, are you helping them solve their pain point? What can you do better to improve it? And so course feedback is really vital. The next one then, if you're not satisfied about not getting feedback on the course, well, what about your student? All right. You haven't led them into the transformation that your course promised to deliver, and that is definitely a problem. Fine, you may have had their money, but there are bigger issues out of that one, okay? Because now we talk about branding and really your reputation. Throughout this webinar, you're going to see plenty of testimonials, like you can see just down here on the bottom right? If students aren't completing your courses, then how can you provide testimonials or success stories and case studies that's going to attract new students and to build trust in your brand and your business, especially if this is your first course or you're growing and you're trying to aspire to be bigger? You need vitally those success stories and testimonials. And if that wasn't bad enough, all those students that didn't finish the course, well, imagine if they were going to tell 2 or 3 colleagues, friends, family members about the course. Instead, they're not going to tell someone. And if anything, they may have gone and told someone they started a course. 2 months, 3 months goes by and that person says, oh, how did that course go? And they go, well, man, didn't finish. All right. Even if someone doesn't finish your course, it's not that they're not promoting it to others. They're actually detracting the value of your course to other people who may have asked them about it, especially if we think about people sharing courses in the professional setting or in a business setting. If you're sharing it across the company and you're finding people aren't completing it, is there value in that course? So then lastly, of course, we've got the financial benefits. And I'm hoping Rayan will join me any minute now. I'm just checking. No, apologies, he's not here today. We'll try to catch him shortly. Finally, the biggest issue of all this is without having successful completions, you can't help this customer through their journey, not now or in the future. And that customer or bringing in that customer is costly. The cost of giving them another course is 5 times cheaper than it is to bring in a new person. So I hope with many of you, you have one course and you have something else to drive them towards on their journey. And so that cost of taking the customer from course 1 to course 2 is 5 times cheaper than the cost of acquiring a new customer. That's massive. And for any of you that may be offering products or services beyond your courses, we offer the BuddyBoss app and we offer a done for you service. 67% of successful students have increased spending after the completion. And statistically, it works out for every dollar they've spent on a training program, that student or that user is then going to spend an average of $12 more on products related to it. So if you have a product or a service or a consultancy that you can go with after that, maybe a higher level, maybe it's a mastermind. Again, we're talking social learning here. Take them on a course, invite them into a mastermind or a VIP group. They're going to spend more money than they even spent on the course to begin with. So let's take that to a very quick example, right? Imagine your course or your courses as a gym membership. People have enrolled with the intention of getting fit, right? And we've all been there, start of a new year, well, quarter of the way down, but that tells you how it's going for me. If they don't show up to the gym and they don't complete their workouts, they're not going to see results. And of course, they're not likely to go to renew, but they're not it's not just that. They're also not, let me get rid of that. They're also not demonstrating success to their social circle, right? And you know what everyone's like at the first time to the gym. They go there, big selfie, I'm at the gym, working hard. And that was the last photo you saw of them at the gym, right? We've been there. So many of us have been there, right? So they're not demonstrating success to their social circle, that they've had any benefits. And now those people might be doubting your gym, all right, or your workouts or any of those programs in that respect. So by focusing on course completion and ultimately student retention, what you're essentially doing is you're creating that well-equipped gym with a really good program that's going to keep people engaged, motivated to reach their fitness goals and go beyond that, all right? And that's basically what's going to translate to a successful and sustainable online course business. So I hope you're all good so far. So when we talk about why is this happening? Well, in a post-COVID world, right, where everything changed over those couple of years, 73% of students still want to learn remotely. Yet we go back to that original thing of less than 10% of people complete their courses. Now, there are 3 reasons that I've broken it down as to why this is. And again, maybe you can resonate with some of these and think about maybe some of your time in the past. The first thing here is it's a lack of structure. Self-paced courses in nature are self-paced, right? They're handled by the user in their own pace without having any dedicated classroom schedule and timeline. It's going to be very easy for them to lose track of time, get distracted, go through Facebook Reels or anything else there, and ultimately that drop in motivation, okay? So first of all, we've got the lack of structure. That's a problem. Secondly, we've got the lack of limited interactions. When you're in a classroom, you're going to have a student needs a teacher, right? And in online courses, you're going to have a syllabus, but there's always going to be unanswered questions. Now, the problem with that is if you don't have the ability to ask those questions and have any interactions with your instructor, you're going to leave your students isolated, feeling unsupported, and that can become a mental blocker to progression, especially if question becomes question. And so limited interaction can absolutely cause people to freeze and not continue. And then, this image really represents it all. We are in March, but how many of you started to set yourself a goal in 2024 only to find daily life getting into the way? Because that is exactly the same for your students, all right? With no accountability line, no support lines, it's going to be very easy to put off course completion because of every other commitment, work, family, entertainment, Netflix, everything in between. And this is really, kind of going back traditionally where classrooms kind of beat online courses in terms of completion. You're going to have a lecturer or a teacher that's going to ensure you're turning up to class on time, finishing the topics, you're going to get graded with an assessment, and along that entire way, week on week, you're going to get feedback and engagement from your instructor, but also from fellow students in activities, in group sessions, in feedback, right? That is where classrooms kind of have the edge over online courses in terms of completion. But we already said 73% of people actually want to do these online, which is very counterintuitive to what the results are here. So realistically, in this digital age, these are the 3 biggest blockers that are going to stop students from success and stopping your courses from thriving. And that really comes down to what is the goal here, social and mobile learning. Before we continue, get ready to go into that chat room again in the chat section. I want to know how many of you have heard the term social learning. Now, again, there's a lot of different takes on there, but there's also a lot of people who have never heard this term before. And sometimes it's just intuitive. People know what it is. But there's a lot of people who haven't heard this term before. So I'll take it really slowly in terms of breaking this down, but it does look like we've got a lot of yeses in the room. So please jump in, give me some feedback as to we're on the right track. For those of you who have never heard of social learning, this refers to any behavior that is learnt through observation or essentially the imitation of other individual or individuals. It's essentially like influential learning, okay? So you're not actively consciously aware of it all the time, but it's kind of happening naturally. If you're in a classroom, for example, your lecturer says, right, you got to do this task. You look left to right of you. Everyone else is working on there. You're looking at their behaviors. They are doing what's in front of them. You're going to do what's in front of them. There are 4 stages when it comes to social learning and basically the learning process of social learning theory. And the last one is going to be really vital, okay? So the last one here is going to be really vital, but They are all pillars and they all require attention at each section before you can get there. So we have the attention theory, the attention pillar, sorry, which is basically where you're being focused on the content and on the task at hand without distraction. We've got retention, which is where you're basically having to recall the information. We have reproduction, which is where you're having to perform a task yourself by applying it. Okay, so we've learned it, we've recalled it. Now we're going to apply it into a safe environment, but as real life as we can before we go out into the real world. And we have motivation, which is the reinforcement of that entire learning process and continuously driving forward more and more development there. Now, of course, social learning can be applied to a wide range of factors, right? It's not just for e-learning. It is going to be something that we're kind of molding here for our online courses. All right. So I'm sure for many of you who've done social learning and looked at this before, you apply that in different workplaces. You can apply that in different types of careers. We're going to talk it specifically around the task of online courses and communities here. Now, when you build those 4 steps together or those 4 stages together, what you are essentially doing is you are dramatically increasing your completion rate and your course completion rate, and by extension, your student satisfaction and retention. So those were the 4. And today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the strategies that you can use to implement social learning into your courses and how BuddyBoss with Tutor LMS elevates you from a social network and a course provider into that social learning platform. It's a constant strive, and we've had a lot of conversations between us. I'm very excited for the future, but this is really a step forward for many of you. If you are just doing courses on its own, this will be a dramatic improvement. Okay. Now, of course, a social learning platform is only part of the solution, because without students actively participating and re-engaging regularly, that is when you're going to have a problem building up the momentum for social learning, which is why we've combined this really, and most importantly, with mobile learning. So we have another one here, and I'm ready for it. I hope you're ready for it. Tell me yes if you look at your phone, and I feel ashamed to look at you all at the same time here. If you look at your phone within the first 10 minutes of waking up. Oh, we've got a few no's. Wow, dude, you've got a lot of determination there. Wow, look at this. We have actually a good mix. Okay, well, I'll be honest, we've got way more yeses than no's at this point, but it's good to see them. It's great to see a few of you are really good on here. All right, and much like you, I'm absolutely ashamed. We can all use the excuse we have an iPhone or a phone for an alarm clock, all right? The truth is 71% of Americans are all checking their phones within 10 minutes of waking up. So don't be embarrassed, don't punish yourself. Realistically, the phone is now one of, if not the most important device in your life, and you are using it everywhere, right? It's no longer a thousand songs in your pocket. It is everything in your pocket. And as I mentioned at the start of the webinar here, one of the things to mention around data usage, as of last year, 60% of the internet usage is actually coming on mobile devices. So the question here is, hopefully why you're here, is why are you also not looking at having a mobile first strategy? Now, there are many objections that I'd love to try to kind of cover off on here, but I think the ones that I see are typically come from are people saying, I don't think my students will enjoy my content on mobile. My traffic is all coming through the web, and so why would I care about mobile? Or it sounds like a lot of work to have a mobile device and an app, and how are we going to sync it, and how am I going to do both the work and all the maintenance and the costs and everything like that. Now, if you haven't considered mobile learning, here's some of the scary data that should make you really reconsider where you are today. And hopefully you're here because you're interested to understand this. Udemy, one of the largest online learning platforms, has over 213,000 courses, 62 million members, and has 40% of its traffic coming on mobile. Skillshare, 47% on mobile. Thinkific have 51% of their traffic coming in from mobile. And you can go do your search yourself on this. You can, one, have a look at their sites. You can actually, a lot of them have the statistics there. Two, go use SEMrush, have a look at their web traffic. It's all out there. Now, these are 3 of the biggest platforms that are out there. And then what about, for example, hopefully you've all heard of Kajabi at some point. It is a kind of a SaaS platform for courses. Kajabi only has 6% of its 6% of its internet traffic coming from mobile. All All right, and 70% comes from the web, and the rest of the percentage is coming from tablets and a few other devices. All right, they've shared that 70% of the course completion is actually happening on mobile. So just because they're not coming to your website to buy the course on your phone, which again, most of us, if we're going to go buy a premium product, will typically tend to go on a desktop or looking, maybe doing some research, reading reviews. Just because someone is actually coming to your site on the web or on a desktop doesn't mean they're consuming your content on the mobile. Let's go with the final big one here. And this is massive. Hopefully the table was adjusted today just to make sure the graph was in alignment with the numbers. There's an industry report. You can go just Google industry report mobile learning. The mobile learning industry in 2022 was 54 billion. Today, it's around 71 billion. It is expected to be 155 billion by 2026. This is an annual growth rate of 30%. That is absolutely insane of an audience in the market that is literally only interested in mobile learning. So hopefully, again, this whole section here is to reinforce you why, if you haven't considered, why you should really look at it. So we've talked now around about the courses and the different providers. I've showed you some of the metrics. We've talked about the industry, but what about arguably the most important, your customers, your students, or how do they feel about mobile learning? Well, 70% of learners felt more motivated to learn when they could learn from a mobile device. 72% of those students also reported increased engagement with courses because it's on a mobile device. 64% said be due to mobile device accessibility, so the ability to go from web and app seamlessly, it led to a better learning experience. And what's really interesting about this is that students typically completed courses 45% faster on mobiles. They're going through things faster. I always go with the fact on this one that when you're on your phone and you're looking at something, you're watching a video, you can't multitask, right? You just can't multitask. So this is ultimately one of the big things here around students are completing courses faster. One, that means they get to apply the knowledge faster, which gives you better social proof, or the ability to get them onto another course as well in future. So let's go to the next section here. So I just want to show you some of the feedback here, or essentially of what social learning platforms have done for BuddyBoss customers. Obviously, we've had the BuddyBoss app out for a couple of years now. It's very hard to have a social learning platform without mobile learning. Ultimately, you can absolutely get there, right? You do have the web ability, but it's very hard without a mobile learning experience because you're limited on growth and retention and motivation without the engagement that you get with a mobile device. You know, all of those numbers just kind of were there to demonstrate that mobiles are rising, our reliance on mobiles is rising. And unless VR suddenly changes the game dramatically and becomes very affordable, I don't think the mobile phone is going to go out of your pocket anytime soon. Now, Tutor LMS is an incredible platform for courses to your students. It's one of my favorite. I bought the lifetime deal several years ago now. Obviously BuddyBoss, and for those who don't know, I've been a customer of BuddyBoss for years before working here. BuddyBoss has only recently done our Tutor LMS web integration, and that was one of the things that I said towards the team at the end of the year. We really need to support Tutor LMS. So many of our customers wanted it. I know so many of the Tutor LMS customers wanted it, and so we were really excited to support Tutor LMS at the end of last year. And that really is where we can now bring the social platform to build online communities and then integrate them together to have a social environment that is going to hit all four of those points of the social learning theory. When you combine that kind of social learning platform with a mobile app, what you're getting is a powerhouse of anytime, anywhere, learning with accountability, support systems, one-to-ones, content beyond your imagination, and of course, all of the accountability and retention and engagement that you get with mobile phones. So with that said, let's now go into social learning strategies. What I'm going to say right now, again, as a reminder to those, if you have joined in late, we are going to, have covered what those four strategies are very briefly. We're now going to actually look at, now that you understand the value of social mobile learning, I'm going to talk about how you can actually have some of the implementation and where that kind of channels into the online courses. If you stay around to the very end, I will be putting a link in the chat where you can actually download this free of charge. It's just something that our team have been working on and I've been working on with the team. So you have to be here though. We're not sending it in the replay. I'm not sharing it after this. It is literally around there. Literally the first page is me thanking you for being here to the very end. And so I will share that link with us at the end there. So again, conscious of time, we are halfway through the timeline here. So I'm going to try to keep a little bit pace on this. So again, when we talk about those 4 pillars of social learning theory, let's start with attention. At the attention stage, this is where we need our user to be focused on the learning material and also looking at how potential students are interacting with them. Okay, of course, the material itself has to capture intrigue, has to be interesting. If you can't actually capture that attention before you even start, the rest of these pillars are going to have no impact to you in terms of social learning. So when we talk about courses, and what we've got here on the screen is basically 3 elements that I'm going to discuss today, and the PDF has some more after this. Courses, they need to be free from distraction. You need to try to get rid of the sidebars, keep it clean. Consider dark mode if you haven't already got dark mode. It is one of those things that reduces eye strain, which means you can look at it for longer, you can work on it for longer. It is aesthetically pleasing for many people, but also for something that a lot of people don't consider is that it improves accessibility for those with visual impairments. And I think that's an area that a lot of people forget around accessibility. Of course, BuddyBoss supports dark mode with Tutor LMS on the courses. So if you are already using BuddyBoss, you'll already have those if you look to use Tutor LMS. Now, outside of the kind of the visual and the interface, let's talk about the content itself. You are writing for the web. Okay, that's very different to writing on a book. You need to keep the branding calm, distraction free, and the content small, minimal, short paragraphs or a couple of lines per paragraph. You need to make sure the sentence structure varies because someone's going to read that content. And the last thing you want them to do is just reading it in a monotone because everything is the same line over and over and over again. You get the idea. Have some short, snappy sentences, some long sentences. Think about your sentence structure. And of course, nowadays, look, Tutor LMS has already got ChatGPT integration. If not, go try Gemini, which I think is fantastic for content creation. I think Gemini, if you've not tried it before, go give it a try. 2 months free on the pro version as well now. Gemini definitely has a lot better creative writing from my limited experience there. So, and of course, when we talk about content, and I highlighted this earlier, mobile really wins when it comes to content on kind of taking your courses on the mobile because you can't multitask, right? You can't switch tabs. You know, the videos are basically taking up the full screen, and that is typically why you're going to see a higher level of engagement. It's why when we look at those stats we mentioned earlier, people reported high level engagement. You can't multitask if you're just looking at your phone. Of course, unless the TV's in the room, right? And that's a different problem altogether. So outside of courses, right, every single part here, I want to talk about how we can do it with courses and then how we can do it in social. So when we talk about attention, when it comes down to social, BuddyBoss groups, all the activity, right, use these to share exclusive course previews, right? We want our students to mimic our behavior. If you're constantly striving, improving, sharing trailers, course previews, behind the scenes content, right, you're basically capturing their curiosity, their attention, and their interest. And at the same time, you're reinforcing to them that this is a constant learning, all right? And there's a constant growth required. So using groups or activity feed to basically use that to share content, share sneak peeks, share trailers, that kind of side there will get their attention. And of course, as we mentioned as the third point here, social proof and success stories. Share when your students have completed courses. Promote course reviews. And don't just do it externally, also do it internally because you want your students to mimic other students' successes, all right? Provide those real world results to your students and that will demonstrate the core value internally and externally. And for those who are using Tutor LMS with BuddyBoss already, or those who are looking at Tutor LMS with BuddyBoss, anytime your student finishes a lesson or a course, you can have it post in the group that they finished the course, all right? You can assign it to a group, post it in the group automatically, and go celebrate with that student that they've completed the course or the materials or the quizzes, all right? We want that learner or the student to model the behavior, not just focusing on the content, having that capture their attention, but looking at others around them. By seeing others do it, they will do it themselves, all right? And of course, your own movement going forward there in terms of demonstrating content will help also add to that social proof. Moving along then to retention. Okay, retention, as we mentioned before. Sorry, people. There we go. So when we talked about retention, again, this is about looking at the content, absorbing the content, and then showing that you can retain the information. And how can you basically prove that to others around you? Well, of course, the first thing, Tutor LMS, an incredible array of quizzes, beautifully done, and it's the perfect way to test a student shortly after learning their content, okay? Making sure they've absorbed the content, understood it, and can recall that information. I think this one's fairly obvious. We don't need to go too much in there. Of course, there is the ability to use assignments. I would typically save that more for the next stage, which we'll talk about, but depending on how your course is or the material or the complexity, you could also use assignments in this case. Now for BuddyBoss, obviously social groups, again, one of the things and one of the ways that we've used this recently with a customer was having them hold post-lesson discussions. So they were doing cohort learning, everyone joins at the same time. And after every lesson on essentially a time schedule, they were essentially hosting questions and answers inside the group and essentially getting peers to join them and basically solidify their understanding by asking questions and having conversations. And then finally, we also have user-generated content. And I love this idea because I think this is a really great way to encourage community contributions. Ask your students to share with others their course notes, their summaries, a mind map, an image, whatever they're doing to learn the content. Most people have a way of working, right? I write notes down all the time when I'm doing courses, right? Share that in the community, share that with your group. Not only is that going to kind of be essentially a proof of validation to them, but you're also going to be helping other members of the community because you're reinforcing their learning and sharing it with others. And don't forget with BuddyBoss, right? You can upload documents to groups, you can upload videos to groups, you can upload images to group. So you can kind of use all of those to throughout your courses to recommend them, come to the community and share one of the tips you did, share what you've worked on a mind map. Again, apply this to your courses. There's no one answer fits all here. These are just ideas that we've used, we've executed upon, we've recommended, and we've seen in the past. Ultimately, the whole purpose of that retention, we want them to be able to recall the information easily so they can continue to demonstrate the skills learned, all right? And that kind of leads us on to the reproduction stage, which is now where they take that content that they've listened to, learned, and they've recalled it, and now they're going to put it into practice. Now, when we say put it into practice, you don't have to go and put it into a real world execution right now. I would argue you're too early to do it for a real world. This is about almost leveling up. You're now no longer doing a quiz, you're doing those assignments. You're doing a project. You're doing a kind of a masterpiece around what you've learned all together, or you're building an application, whatever your courses are surrounding by, you're going to do something that's kind of putting it all together rather than doing it module by module or lesson by lesson. Okay. Again, as I mentioned earlier, Tutor LMS has assignments, which is perfect for taking all that recalled and all the taught information and putting it into practice. But as I say, that's not the only way. We'll go back to groups again. Why don't you hold collaborative projects? Why don't you use private messaging and have peer reviews where you're basically putting students together, getting them to apply knowledge, discuss it, and practice skills in a social setting? And of course, with Zoom, which both BuddyBoss and Tutor LMS integrate, why not hold a webinar? Why not hold a workshop, live streams, live sessions? However you want to call it, however you want to phrase it to it, you could have weekly live meetings where all your students can come together to practice or to demonstrate their newly acquired skills. If it's a course on confidence, get them to join the call with 20 strangers and demonstrate their week one and go back to demonstrate week on week. Get someone to run the meeting that I've never spoken before. All of this is, depending on how you want to do it. There are so many opportunities. And again, that social interaction we talked about earlier, how the lack of accountability, the lack of interactions, if you can bring in live into that event or social into that event, that is an incredible opportunity. And spoilers for you all here. We are actually looking at live streaming at the moment in BuddyBoss because, again, I really, truly believe we need to make sure we maintain that social functionality, right? And having live is one of the great ways to get people there and then. So as a reminder, this whole section now, reproduction, is about getting someone to apply the skills and knowledge in a safe, supportive environment, but a challenging environment, okay? You're there to reinforce the course promise and essentially showcase your material through that student. Now, lastly, motivation. And I see the conversations are going through. So again, if you're using questions, I will come back to you during the Q&A section. So if you just joined, I will do a Q&A section at the end. I will also then hand out the social learning strategies, which takes this content a little bit further with some more execution, some more theories and ideas that you could look to as well. And I will come back to chat as much as I can as well in between this. I apologize, my co-host is not here and it looks like we might have had some issues. So last of all, we have motivation, okay? To me, in my mind, this is almost the most essential component of them all. And this is, if you're going to take anything away from learning process, this is the part. But ultimately, it's like Jenga, you need to have the other parts there as well. All right. Motivation is what drives forward the attention, retention, and reproduction going forward. All right. It digs deep into the core of that learner and brings out their willingness to engage and persist with your materials. And so what you're looking to do is to motivate them at the start of their journey, throughout the journey, and at the end of their journey. So of course, one of the biggest ways, right, and we've seen this across the board, is social recognition, right? Any kind of social recognition of progress or achievements, okay? If they've gone up through a course or a quiz, congratulate them. As we mentioned before, BuddyBoss lets you automatically post those into the group. And it's amazing to see, I still occasionally help some of the support team and jump in with support tickets. And when you go into a community and you see loads of people commenting on someone's progress, or now even using reactions to that progress, which is a great thing to see, and having instructors commenting and leaving reactions on these milestones. And don't forget, if you are building truly a social learning platform, it is important for you as instructors to be engaging, right? They're going to learn from your behavior. You need to be in that community as much as them, arguably, if not more. The second one, gamification. Obviously, this shouldn't be new to anybody here. You at this point should be gamifying every single bit of your experience to release all those endorphins, provide all those mini celebrations and the wins along the way towards that bigger milestone. There are so many ways you could do this, right? You could do ranking systems for online objectives or short-term objectives. You could be doing achievements for any of these bigger milestones. Or as we were talking about with another customer recently, they're doing points-based recognition, and then they're actually letting them exchange those points for other courses. So you'll basically be able to essentially reward them for their most active or their most biggest contributors. So again, gamification is not only about motivating that learner, but it's also about holding that retention for the long term, bringing them in and turning them around as essentially an ambassador, right? They're a core contributor to your community. They're recognized across your social feeds and across the community that you've got. They're working and wrapping that community. They're working in that community by adding contributions, and they're getting rewarded along the way, whether it's through gamification, social recognition. All of this releases these endorphins in your mind that motivates you to continue. And that kind of then leads these people nicely into what I think a lot of people forget about here is a mentorship program. Take your most experienced students, pair them up with newcomers, and get them to provide support and guidance, right? We talk about motivation, where you're trying to get them to engage, and we talked about how the reproduction, you're trying to get them to share and proof of knowledge that they've absorbed the information. Why don't you get them and pair them up with a new starter? And they're going to prove themselves. They're going to help someone along the way. So it's going to help your student grow faster. Your new student is going to continue that loop of retention and reproduction to your experienced students. And realistically, if you pull this off really well, I personally would look at doing things like hosting regular sessions with those experienced students and treat them like an exclusive audience, right? Exclusive VIPs, give them a title, a name, a recognition. Hey, here are my top performers, the top students, the people that are here all in helping people moving forward, challenging themselves, using the content that you're creating, and recognize them, because they will also be some of the best students to be your advocates in the future, but also be a way of understanding course feedback. What are they struggling on now, and how can you help them? So I hope that one, at this point, everyone kind of really gets to the understanding of those 4 steps of social learning. But really now you're saying, well, this is all good, Graham. You told me social learning. We've talked about all of these features and everything there that can be done in the web. And where's the app come into all of this? Well, as I mentioned earlier, that the app to me and mobile learning is that secret weapon to make that social learning a vibrant environment and to excel in increasing your engagement and retention. So rather than go even further with strategies and deciding, this is now the perfect time for me to show you a demo of the BuddyBoss Tutor LMS app. It is still in development, okay? I will say that now, but it is looking absolutely incredible. So I'm going to walk you through some of the key features, and then we can talk about those strategies while I'm doing a live demo. So I'm just going to restart this demo. I'm going to switch camera now. You're going to see a little bit behind the scenes as it looks at me. Here we are in the BuddyBoss Tutor LMS app. So we're on the home screen right now. This is the app page, which is basically Gutenberg blocks that we've made for the app. So you can drag and drop these in any way, shape or form. So we've got sliders here. You've got lists. So these are notifications that are coming through. You can have your blog posts and even menu systems, or you can use HTML blocks. So we have a wide variety of these. All of these work on the mobile, and basically you can customize these so they can only show in certain criteria. Moving along, we've got our activity feed. Now, we've talked about social learning being so vital. Well, here is a social feed. So this is basically your timeline. And again, you can see engagements happening here. We can use reactions, we can use GIFs, we can use pictures, videos, anything you like. And again, this is ultimately the most important part of having courses with online communities, creating a social learning environment. So you could post into groups, or you can post on the feed itself. And again, it's a great way to have interactions with your students. Moving along, we've got our courses. Now, this is the bulk of it. This is the Tutor LMS courses built into the BuddyBoss app. So we have all our courses here. Now, if you build a course in Tutor LMS and you published it, it will show up here. Let me go through. We have our filters here. So I'm going to go to a newly created course, and we can see we have our course here at the top. Now, we're already 18% through the course, but here it is. This is our course landing page. Now, this is still in development, so there are still areas that we're working on here, but we can see we've got multiple creators on here. We've got our categories. We've got our video here playing on the top, and this is the YouTube, but you could do any of the other video supported options. We've got our course information, the course materials. We've got our content here. So we've got our 2 modules, the materials that are included, which you can attach to it, and then obviously the audience that this course is designed for. Now you'll see we're on progress 2 of 11, so we can go through these on other sections. So let's just go into a lesson, for example. So here we are in our lesson. We have our video here, we have our content here. Excuse the grey, because that is actually already solved. This was just an old test app here. We can have our course overview. We can also swipe across to the exercise files. We have these exercise files that are built into it, and you've got comments as well. And we can go through by marking these as complete and going through section. Now, it's important to note here, you will see a slight gap where we've got course information and reviews. This also has Q&A and announcements in the build as well. It's not showing because we're still in development, but we are weeks away from having this released. So we could go to our reviews, for example, and we can see, let's scroll down, we can see there's courses have been reviewed, and we can submit a review as well. Again, everything here is native, built for Tutor LMS, so there's a lot of work that's gone into this. Now let's go across to a quiz. Here we go, we have our quizzes that are in Tutor LMS, and we support all the quizzes. Now this is a variety quiz, so we have random quizzes in here, so we can submit this. We now get our question quiz, which again, you can have multi-select. We've got our text, so we can add our long form text responses as well. And again, we've got a true and false here as well. Now again, we are going to support all the quiz formats outside on launch. So after launch, every quiz will be supported inside Tutor LMS. And again, you can see we've got our timing here, and we're going to have the quiz results on here as well. So this is the Tutor LMS app. We're really proud of this. We're super excited for it. And when we talked about social learning, we talked about having that social recognition. Well, there you have it. You have your certificates here as social recognition. You can download them to the app, or what more, why not share them via your app native social sharing to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to anywhere you need to, directly to your contacts. You can do all of this inside the BuddyBoss app for Tutor LMS. So outside of that, of course, we have all the other social functionality of the BuddyBoss app. So we have our BuddyBoss notifications. Now, this is not bringing tutor notifications in at the moment, but we really want your feedback. Part of this pre-launch is to get your feedback so that we know what you want to have more of, and we'll make sure we build this. This product is constantly evolving. In addition to that, we've got your student dashboard that you would be used to if you've seen Tutor LMS. We've got members, we've got groups and forums where you can have discussions with other people. So we've got another student, so we've got discussions here like this. And again, this one's in a forum, this one's in a group, so we can go into our groups and have conversations as well. So again, we can have conversations in groups as well. Outside of that, we have all the functionality you'd expect. You can do private messaging, one-to-one, one-to-many. Even groups can have their own messaging functionality, and you can restrict with BuddyBoss. You can restrict who can message who. So if you want just the students to be able to message instructors, you can lock that down. If you want group chats to be live, you can have group chats. So that way, this is everyone in the group. If someone's removed from the group, they're also removed from this conversation. Moving down, we've mentioned notifications. Well, what about achievements? Gamification is one of the greatest ways to motivate your students, and with GamiPress and Tutor LMS, you can have those achievements built into your app. Again, another amazing way of doing recognition here. Now, we also mentioned documents, photos, and videos as part of the ability to get your students to engage with your course material, share their study resources, their materials, the work they've been doing in documents or in photos or in videos on your social stream. So we can go into documents and we can see there are a wide array of documents in here and folder structures as well. And these can be both set up as a group level or at an individual level, so a student. Now, finally, we've got the blog screen. Okay, we talked about the blog before, a huge way of building organic traffic. We have a beautiful looking blog screen. So this is the content that I can sharing here. It's got also things like related posts at the bottom from the same categories. You can also do the sharing and bookmarking of these posts. Now, part of the app also has the ability to restrict content. So we have a thing called access controls. Now, this is like a membership plugin inside the app. You can tie groups of users to course access, to group access, to WordPress roles. So we can see this person doesn't have the ability to read this content. But it goes beyond blog posts. You can restrict screens, you can restrict posts, you can restrict pages. There's so much you can do with that. And so the final thing I want to mention, obviously you've got in-app purchases. Now this won't show because it's a test app, but of course you have the ability to sell your courses and your memberships through in-app purchases. It's a huge way of bringing in monetization and to legitimize what the course delivers in value. And so you can manage all of that through the Apple and Google Apple stores through memberships and in-app purchases. This is a very brief overview of the BuddyBoss app. Don't forget, it is completely white labeled. So you can change the colors, you can change the titles, you can change all of the icons into custom icons, your own ones, lined ones, filled ones. You get so much functionality with the BuddyBoss app. And so this is all you need for building a social learning platform using mobile learning and Tutor LMS and the BuddyBoss app. If you have any questions, do reach out to our team. And don't forget, you can also try the demo. I will switch my camera around now. Doing courses on the go. Let me turn that back on again. Here we go. Doing courses on the go. Completely white labeled app. Social feeds, groups, all of that in there. Revenue opportunities through in-app purchasing or through memberships. So yeah, that is essentially the app. Now let me get into the last few bits before we get to the Q&A. All right. This really is an incredible product. And I'm not saying that because I just work at BuddyBoss. Don't forget, I was a customer and I actually bought BuddyBoss in the first year before they sold it. I pre-bought it or pre-purchased it for my own community back in 2020. So, and here's just a couple of success stories here and people that we're showing that have had incredible success with the products across the board. And maybe if you're in our BuddyBoss group, you may have even seen some of these members. Oh, let's not actually share the screen. That would be good. There we go. Okay. Let me open the chat so I can see it all. Apologies. There we go. So you can see now. So here we go. So these are just, like I say, some of the people that have got the app. Again, head along to our Trustpilot. Just go and read the reviews if you really need to. So go see there. So with that said, after you've seen this demo, after you've heard everything about social learning, mobile learning, why mobile learning is so important, I typically know, and as a customer as well, I typically know there's going to be three questions that come out of this one, and then everything else we can go to the Q&A. So let's go through the first ones. And again, I've already seen this come up in the chat a few times. Okay, you want to build your own branded app. You want to provide courses with Tutor LMS. You don't have a development team. You're not too technical. You don't know how it is to build and maintain your app. Okay, you do not have to worry about that. We have tutorials on every aspect of BuddyBoss app in our academy. We do also have a optional done for you service to pay for have the BuddyBoss team to help build it for you. But honestly, and I'm telling you this now, 95% of you do not need that service. The do-it-yourself service is all you need, because you have to maintain the app, and so you should know the product really well. And more importantly, there is a bonus going on today, which is we're calling the Accelerator Workshop, which means you don't have to watch our academy. You don't have to do the done for you service. You can join me on a call, which we'll come to that in a second. The second question here, right? It is costly, right? You love the idea of your app. You know app development's not cheap, all right? Again, this is one of the great things about being in part of this pre-launch. You know, as you may have known, as I just mentioned there, right? I've been building community since 2015 when I built my one and started working at BuddyBoss, right? 2019, I was full-time in my community, and I spoke to BuddyBoss back then and said, look, you've got the platform. I want a custom app. BuddyBoss used to build custom apps as one-off for clients then. And I said, how much is it going to cost me? This is what I need. It's a fraction of what we've got now. Okay. It's a fraction of what we've got now. And BuddyBoss turned around to me and said, this is $38,000 starting up front, maybe up to $55,000, depending on your scope. We'll have to go back and forth. And there's a monthly retainer of $250. All right. That was the point back in 2019. And boy, have things changed. All right. So in the end, I ended up with a non-native solution, 10 grand down, and used it for a year and then gave up with that one. So again, yes, app development isn't cheap, but what we've built here is an app and an app builder in a way that lets us scale it at a lower price point while offering you incredible features and a lot of customization, not unlimited, but we are very much focused on trying to increase that customization without development requirements. So, and remember, this is not a new product. We launched a product in 2021. It was a rocky launch. If you look at our feedback then, it was definitely a rocky launch, and I started in the week of the launch. But now it is such an incredible, such a solid product. We are seeing communities and course providers have incredible success with it, whether it's from 500 member communities or 100,000. And yes, we do have a customer with 100,000 installs, and that's just on Android alone. Okay. So look, it's not a new product. I'm going to absolutely stand by the price of the app as it is now, but we did want to give you and the Tutor LMS community a special launch offer to celebrate this milestone and to also work with us so we can actually get some really successful Tutor LMS launches very quickly. So finally, and again, I'm conscious of time, so we're going to fly through this, right? You want the app, but you don't have a community, all right? We talked about social learning. If you don't have BuddyBoss, what is this now? It's just a e-learning app or a course app. One, we have plenty of customers just using LearnDash alone. You don't need BuddyBoss. But I am hoping after all of this material, you understand the value of building communities and combining them. There's nothing to stop you from launching without BuddyBoss enabled, okay? You can launch the app and add those features afterwards. Remember, everything or no app is ever really finished, or no website's ever truly finished. You're going to constantly add more and more stuff to it, and we're adding features all the time. So you can always add the community later on rather than doing it straight away, and start with your app, add the community, and then release that into your app, and it's very easy. To be honest, when we launched our web integration back in December, it's very quick for a lot of people to just switch over, change theme, make sure it looks good for you, make sure all the functionality is what you need. That's it. And we've had some incredible feedback from people. And I had calls with customers back in January, and one of the customers literally broke down in tears of how happy he was and how he'd really struggled, and you know how he wanted to be the Udemy of his industry in South Africa, but he'd never heard of BuddyBoss before this integration with Tutor. He'd been using Tutor, had been using BuddyPress, had loads of issues, and again, literally broke down in tears on the call with me, which is, you know, that's what I get to hear every day. Success stories left, right, center. So, but if you don't have a community, I understand some of you may feel that's a sticking point. So we are going to be throwing in a bonus today A special bonus for anyone who orders essentially in the next 24 hours. You'll get an email straight after this. It is the perfect time for you to consider social learning strategies because we're going to give you the theme for free. Okay, you're going to get BuddyBoss Web, which is the theme and platform pro, for free if you order in the next 24 hours. And you know the app's a few weeks away. You got a perfect opportunity now to start building your community so that it's ready straight after release, or at least on its way there. So what do we get today? As I mentioned, you pre-order today, you're going to get access to the BuddyBoss app for Tutor LMS on release. It's going to let you build a native app aimed at helping your students succeed, increase your sales, your course completion, your student retention, building a community. And in addition to that, you're going to get your onboarding service with our customer success team and myself, which we'll talk about in a moment, and our publishing service. All right, that is what we're offering today. That is the thing we're doing. So unlike Teachable and unlike some of the other products, right, this is your name, your brand on both the app stores with one price, okay? Unlike other LMSs out there, you're not going to be forced into annual commitments or large annual commitments on top of monthly subscriptions, okay? Thinkific, Kajabi, they're $2,400 a year plus the monthly subscriptions. And both of those, that's just a student app without any social functionality. All right, that's the crazy point. That's $2,400 with just right now, all they've got is course material, no social functionality. If you want a social learning app, you've got Circle and Mighty Networks, right? They're the next leaders on there. If you've ever spoken to them, that is $30,000 a year for a fully branded app. All right, so that is what we're promising for you today. That is what we offer. That is what we work towards, and that is what we love about this. Okay, so you're going to get your professional-looking, native, mobile responsive, white labeled app. Okay, something that is being developed on continuously. You're going to get loads of updates. You're going to be able to monetize it with in-app purchasing. You can handle access through access control, so you can sell courses or memberships. This is going to improve your retention with students, increase your accessibility and your engagement. And of course, you can build all of the community features, whether it's forums, whether it's groups. You can use your documents and everything else in between to basically take these students into community members, loyal members, and having them promote and purchase more courses. So we're going to get down to the pricing point. This is where we're at today. Our normal price is $2,148. If you go to the site today, that is the price you'll buy. You go there last month, it's the same price. Today, over the next 24 hours, I'm going to share the link before I forget. Today, and I'm going to post it obnoxiously several times in case anyone else posts. There we go. Today, the price is $1,718 a year. That is over a $400 saving. Okay. Now, why is it cheaper? Since the product's already launched. All right. As I mentioned, I want to have a good relationship with the Tutor LMS team and the community. We think this is a proven product that we want to help demonstrate how we can bring you success and then other success. All right. So this is a short-term promotion that we're going to do while the app is in pre-launch for the Tutor LMS integration. So I believe Tutor LMS is an incredible LMS product. And I also know how many of you and many of the customers would benefit from there. So, and again, I was the one that did the web integration, right? I was one that told the team last year, we have to get the web integration because I really do think it's an incredible product. So that is, for those who are asking, that is $1,718 a year. I understand for many of you, they go, well, that's a lot more money. When you consider the app costs, it is nowhere near the type of app cost, but I will address that straight away. There's no shying away from the price here. So you could join Project Life Mastery, Hey College, and many of our other customers. Go and check them out on our Trustpilot. Go to our website. Go ask others. Again, I'm not denying that first year was very rocky for the app launch, all right? But we've learned a lot. We've done a lot. And again, this is revolutionary stuff, right? To be able to do an app builder in the way we've done it, the way it refreshes, the way it picks up straight through the REST API, it is an incredible product. So what are some of the guarantees? Well, if you buy today, you will get a 21-day refund period, okay? But that is not from today. That is after you get access to the product. So in the next couple of weeks, when you get access, if you decide that it's not for you, you still have 21 days to ask for a refund. There are no qualms, no problems. I will probably ask what you do and don't like about it, just purely, but there's no pushback, okay? We stand by that. With our web and with our theme, we only have 14-day refund period. For the app, it's 21 days. We know it takes longer to set up. We know it takes a bit more for you to get access to it. We have a 21-day refund period. You're going to have access to our customer success team who are going to help with the onboarding, who hold group calls throughout the week that you can join at any time you want. Just join the call and ask questions. We've got the BuddyBoss Academy. That's basically your place to go through step by step on any features, any new settings. There's no gotchas. All right. That is every tutorial that we need to go through the app, and we add to that anytime there's new functionality. And you've got an app that's going to continue to grow, develop. We have more functionality going in all the time. Next, I want to say next month, but it could be the month after, we will have customizable navigational headers. We're working on custom post type support, and we're working on a brand new block that is going to let you customize, grids and mosaic layers and carousels and all of this stuff. We're working heavily on that. We've got all the designs. In the next 2 to 3 months, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out on us. All right. And finally, one of the biggest things that we're doing specifically for Tutor LMS, we've never done this before. We are going to do what we're calling the Accelerator Workshop. And this is what I alluded to at the beginning. This is really, the first time we do it. I've done it once with one person directly. This is a group environment where what we're going to do, what we're going to do is you're going to join me on a Zoom call like this, where I'm going to walk you step by step through it, wait for you to do it, and then we'll carry on. And so over one day, we will go from installing the plugin to having it on your phone as a test app, okay, in one session. If you can't join it, we're doing 2 sessions on the week of the launch. So the week it launches, there'll be 2 sessions that you can join, and we will build the app and have it on your phone that same day. Then 2 days later, you will join me again. There's a bit of homework in between. You'll then join me on day 2, where we'll basically go through the publishing process. By the end of a week, you could have an app live on the App Store, subject to publishing requirements, but that is literally what we've done, which I'll show you in a minute, okay? But that is one of the things here. We've never done it before. It's incredible value because it gets your app on the store in days, not weeks, all right? It really does. You don't have to watch all these tutorials. So here's some of the things you're going to get as a kind of extra as part of that discount. We've already talked price, save $400. Well, we've got a few weeks until we launch this product. Again, we're waiting on APIs. We've got some testing. There's a few more things we want to fine tune and basically still a few things outstanding. All right. When you buy the product today, and if you buy in the pre-launch, if you don't buy today, the prices will be going up shortly, and then you'll get pre-launch pricing. But anyone who buys during the pre-launch will get the pre-launch guide. What this is going to do, we're going to send this out next week for anyone who purchases. It's going to give you a list of everything you need before you actually start with the app. Things like get your developer accounts done, get your branding assets done, and we're going to walk you through what you need and why. So that day 1 of this workshop, you have everything you need to build your app without being blocked. Registering a developer account can take a couple of days for verification. So you're going to get access to this pre-launch guide built by Prabs and myself from the customer success side to make sure that you're ready on day 1 of the launch. No exceptions on there. Secondly, as I mentioned, you're going to be able to join us live on the Accelerator Workshops to get the app published in days. So it's 2 sessions. We're going to run session 1 on Monday and Tuesday, then session 2 on Thursday, Friday. You can join either of the days, join us, and then there will be replays available if none of the time zones work, but we're doing it 2 different days for different time zones. During that call, you can ask questions. You can literally flag if you get problems. We will work through there. There's a gap in between so that you can do some of the requirements for publishing. And ultimately, the whole goal here is for us to get you having your app on the App Store within a week, 7 to 10 days, depending on what the Apple and Google review process is like from their end. But ultimately, we are talking days. And ultimately, you'll have our support throughout the entire time. We've never done this before. It is something that I've personally done with a few customers, such as David Bell, who I worked with last month when he had a problem. He had only a couple of days to get this done. And we basically started his app on Tuesday. By Thursday, it was already in the publishing store. By Friday, it was live. It was as quick as that. And so I'm going to take that same process that I really enjoyed, he really enjoyed, and we got his app on the App Store. And he had, the business owner, Layla, had so much success with the app in that first launch, and she couldn't believe from the Tuesday to the Friday she was live. Google was live on the Monday. I think Apple was live on Friday, Google's app on Monday or Tuesday, somewhere like that. But basically less than a week, we had both the apps on the App Store. All right. So that is what we're going to do. First time ever. We really want to go this way. And as I say, if you order now, this is only available for the next 24 hours. This is not available if you wait and you still order in the pre-sale. I mentioned to you, some people say, I really want a community. Well, we're going to give you BuddyBoss Web for free for the first year. So that's $299 free for the first year. Reason being, I truly believe, as you've mentioned in this webinar, social learning is so important. and that by just doing e-learning, yes, it's going to give you mobile learning, but it's not going to give you that social learning platform. So I want you to succeed. We want you to succeed. Rayan's here as well. So if you buy it today, you'll get access to the BuddyBoss Web for free for the first year. That gives you a couple of weeks to start building BuddyBoss Web into your ecosystem and into your courses before we go live. All right. So recap very quickly, and then we go to Q&A. So for $1,718 a year, just a reminder here, this is a fixed lock-in price, right? It's not going to renew at the standard price. That will be locked in as your price. You'll get the BuddyBoss app. You're going to get the pre-flight checklist. That's going to add the ability so that you can essentially get your app ready on day one and not kind of work proactively. You're going to get the BuddyBoss Web for $299 for free, and you're going to get access to the Accelerator Workshop. You do not need to buy our 1500 done for you service. You do not need to watch 50, 60 tutorial videos one by one and go through them. Just join me on a call like this and we will go through it step by step. There'll be pause breaks. There'll be a bit of fun and banter in between. Perhaps from the customer success team will come and join us as well. Right, that is the pitch. That is everything that's going through. Rayan, hopefully you are still here. I will share the link again in the chat.
I'm super excited to see how it goes actually, and some users has talked about how the integration will go on, and that they as we talked before early today, that whenever a new release comes from our end, we'll make sure that the APIs are available, API endpoints are available. And as you have actually offered a lot of things for Tutor LMS users, and I have something for BuddyBoss users as well. And to honor this, and we would like to offer 20% discount on Tutor LMS plans starting from today. And any BuddyBoss users applying BuddyBoss 20 code on the checkout will get 20% discount on Tutor LMS plan. I think
we will email you that. We will absolutely email you that. If you didn't catch the code, we will email that 20% off. Amazing for the Tutor LMS license.
Yes, and I'd like to share one experience with you as well. Recently we in maybe a couple of releases ago, we actually brought a wonderful feature to our email notification system, where there is one thing that if one student is inactive for a certain period of time, you can actually email those students to come back to continue the courses. Like after 7 days of inactiveness, you can actually email automatically. So after releasing this, a lot of users praised us a lot and said that I have been doing this notifying students manually on WhatsApp. It actually takes 1 hour a day for me, as I have a lot of students. After taking a look at your notification panel, I'm thinking that when these sort of notifications are available on their app and it pops up on their mobile phone, I think that the completion rate will go much higher. So the app will have an impact on the completion of the courses, definitely. So this would be an amazing addition to Tutor LMS users, those who will be actually adopting to BuddyBoss app, definitely. I do believe, and I think with that, I call it a new beginning with BuddyBoss and Tutor LMS. I think we can actually go ahead and do something awesome for the users together. And this is only the start. A lot of things to do in the days to come. And Graham and I will make sure that BuddyBoss and Tutor LMS users get the best in the world when it comes to e-learning, mobile learning, and social learning. Definitely, we are working together to make that sure, hopefully, and our activities in the days to come will prove that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. And again, really appreciate the discount there. So if you're a BuddyBoss customer looking for Tutor LMS, you can get 20% off at the same time. We will email you the code as well. Now, that said, let's go through some questions and answers. If you are having questions, please go to the Q&A section. I'm conscious of your time. We are overrun with some technical difficulties. So I'm going to have a cutoff in 6 minutes. Then in 6 minutes time, I will give you a link to the social sharing strategies that I talked about at the start of this. You know what? I'm going to share it now, because if you have to go, I don't want to keep you here. But if you've got questions, you want to know more information, then I want to give that to you. So This is a PDF to the social learning strategies document. I'll just fast forward here. This is something that I built with the team in the last kind of week and a bit in the run up to this. I'm going to share it with you in the chat. Now, this is on my drive. I will be removing it from my drive basically after the webinar, probably within 20 minutes of the webinar. It is only for those of you who stayed here. So thank you so much for joining us. There is a personal thing from me at the beginning that I've said to you. If you have questions, you want to share your experience, anything with me, you have my personal email. Do reach out to me. Admittedly, I might be busy for the rest of the afternoon, but I promise I will get back to you. There is my link to the drive. If someone wants to download and confirm it's working, this is exclusive to you for staying around. We're not going to send this out on the replay. This is exclusive for you for today. So thank you so much for joining and joining us here. Brilliant. Thank you for confirming. And I hope you do enjoy it. That is, put a lot of work into kind of give into more depth. Today was a lot about the why. Here's a little more about how. With that said, let me go through some of the questions. Does the app support Tutor LMS, or is it going to be released? This is the pre-launch. We will be releasing it hopefully in a matter of weeks. As you've already seen the demo, it is getting close. Let me go back to the Q&A page. Yeah, it is very close. We still have some APIs that Tutor LMS are working for. And again, the entire app is API driven. So it's essentially like a headless app. And so we're waiting for some APIs. We've still got some testing, but it's weeks away. And more importantly, with the accelerator workshop, because we want you to get access to the app and the workshop on that day, we will need to make sure the app is ready, and we've given you about a week's warning to schedule meetings to join us on the accelerator workshop. So this is the pre-launch. We're thinking in a number of weeks now at this point. So is the BuddyBoss app supporting Tutor LMS in a native way, or is it a web view? Well, it is a native way. Everything is supported natively in the app. So as you just saw there, that's all native views. We still have functionality around offline support to be built in the future. That's not going to probably be ready on launch. We're looking at that. We're looking at, again, what is the functionality that our Tutor LMS customers want to use with the app, so we can start enhancing it. So right now it is the courses, as you saw, all the quizzes. We are building the dashboard, which I hope should be ready on release, or if not, within a week or two of the release. So this is not a finished, we're constantly evolving. As Tutor LMS add new functionality, we will build native. If there's APIs for it, we will make it native, essentially. Absolutely, though, you can use the web view for the app. Of course, I will always try to push people natively because I think it is a better experience, both in speed, performance, caching, and everything else, and also just compatibility between devices. But of course, the web fallback works perfectly well for those of you who may be using page builders or want something very specific in the app. Okay, and thank you, Jason, for sharing the link. Jason's sharing the link there for the Tutor LMS pricing as well, and we've got the link for the social sharing link. You know what? I have a link with them both. I'll share that and we go to the next questions. So you know what? We can be a few more minutes if you've got questions, since the link is there if you do have to run, and I do appreciate your time. Next question. Will you stop working with LearnDash? Nope. This is, BuddyBoss supports multiple LMSs. Different people prefer different things. I personally lean on the Tutor LMS side. Again, I've been a Tutor LMS lifetime deal customer for a couple of years now. It's been one that has been long overdue for BuddyBoss, and we're excited to work with Tutor LMS. It is definitely a lot more alignment with social learning. And again, if we look at the development curve and how quickly Tutor LMS have done a lot of work, it's been a better relationship, let's say that. Again, we will continuously support LearnDash though. There's no doubt about it. It's just giving people more choices. Again, if you want to be the Udemy of your industry, if you want multiple course creators, Tutor LMS is your only approach. Plus, you've got different quizzes, different functionality. You don't need a whole lot of third-party plugins. That's one of the things I like about working with Tutor LMS on the app. We're primarily focusing on those add-ons because they're all built by Tutor LMS. With LearnDash, we had a lot more of add-on and third-party support.
What's so special about Tutor LMS is, you already have mentioned that, we have seen a lot of solution out there, and when someone starts creating an e-learning site with it, users need a lot of features. So for that, all those solutions out there charge extra for different add-ons. So what we did, we have all the features in the core, and we're not charging any bucks for any add-on. So if you have Tutor LMS, you have around 20 add-ons in the core without, you don't have to pay for any extra money for any add-on. So that's the wonderful thing, and we have some amazing features like multi-instructor. You can create multi-instructor marketplace, and you may find some similarities between the features in different LMSs. But if you compare, you'll find Tutor LMS user experience and options better. I can assure you that. And if you have further question, you can actually ask this on our live chat. Our sales team and our support team will get back to you soon. So, and I'm available. You can join Tutor LMS group as well if you have any particular questions. I'll be so glad to answer that. And
Yeah.
if you yes, please.
I was gonna say Rayan is as active as I am in the BuddyBoss group. He is in the Tutor LMS group, right? You're talking to people who
Yes.
are, complete customer advocates in front of the customers daily that want the best for all of you, right? That is who we are. That is us to the core. And so, you have a question, go ask Rayan. He'll be in there. You don't even have to go too far to find him, right? But again, they've got the live chat as well there on Tutor LMS or the support team. Rayan, question that came through here. I've spent months building BuddyBoss with LearnDash. How does that affect me in terms of migrating to Tutor LMS? What's that situation? If you've got LearnDash, you want to switch to Tutor, what does that look like?
Okay, that's a very important question. We have a migration tool actually you can actually migrate to Tutor LMS without losing almost any data. You can actually take your courses, lessons, quizzes, everything. I mean, almost everything you can actually take from there. So yeah, if you face any sort of issues while doing that, you have our support to help you with that. But I can assure you, let me tell you one thing that we came in the industry later, and I actually ran a poll in the group and somewhere else as well, and we came to understand that the people who are actually using Tutor LMS today, 30% of them were using other LMSs. I'm not going to name anyone, WordPress LMS plugin and some other solution outside WordPress. So if this is not better, those 30%, out of 800 80K users, so wouldn't have choose Tutor LMS. So there is something in it, and I actually want you to explore it yourself. And when it comes to migration, it supports very well. And if you are switching to, we support LearnDash, Lifter LMS, and LearnPress. These are the three solutions Tutor LMS migration tool currently supports. So if you are actually migrating from these three solutions, Tutor LMS, you will not lose anything actually. And hopefully you'll be able to migrate all of your courses, lessons, quizzes, and some other things you have on your e-learning site.
Yeah, and it's worth to say for those of you who are looking at the LearnDash to Tutor, one of the other things that pushed me to Tutor, one is the multiple having multiple instructors. The other thing is a front end course builder. I didn't want other
Yes.
course creators going to the back end. That is one to me that was just very strong, and I think this is it, right? This is
Yes.
from
And you don't
a
have to.
BuddyBoss app. It works with either, but from my perspective, I have preferred Tutor LMS, and so I would urge you to go take a look at both, look at what your requirements are, and reach out to the teams. How long support going to take? What have you got the information you need? I think Tutor LMS is an incredible platform, considering how young it is as well. How I mean, Graham, when did Tutor LMS launch?
It's been 4 to 5 years actually,
Yeah,
and it
and
it grew to 80 80K in just 4 to 5 years actually. I cannot be more. I wish I could be more specific about it. Probably 4.5 or 5.
well,
So
there we go.
it's not new. It's not that old, but it's the one actually you'd be looking for in terms of all the features and functionality we have. In terms of where we have, if you look at the progress Tutorial has made in the last couple of years, you would love to thank our development team and those who are actually working for Tutorial. I have been touch with Graham for about probably 2.5 years, and we have been talking about the integration platform, BuddyBoss platform integration specifically for a long time. And I was having a talk with the team today about the BuddyBoss platform integration. That was the base for us, and we actually wanted it to happen. And after it was done, we had a long talk about the app integration, and maybe the last couple of weeks, we had many more meetings than ever before about the app integration.
Yeah,
So it's going to be amazing. And if there is something that we actually need to do from our end, like supporting BuddyBoss app with the API endpoints, and we are doing that. And probably 90% of the API endpoints are already there. And we're gonna work on the rest 10% so that you can have a smooth launch with the app integration. We're gonna do that for sure. I have seen the excitement in the users, and they're talking about this, how Tutor LMS is going to support the app integration, how this is going to work. So from our end, we're going to make sure that it works smoothly. And whenever
absolutely.
you mentioned something very, very important, which is, with the new releases, we'll be aligned in a better way. And since we're connected in Slack, we send messages anytime we want. Actually, it's Graham and I are actually exchanging messages every time. Whenever there is something about app integration, Graham is informing me in the Slack, and I'm actually talking about that in the Slack as well. So this is how close we are about this integration, and we have a lot of things in the planning as well. I think the days coming are going to be amazing, and it's it's going very good. I think that the last time showed me the demonstration, I think I found it much better in this demonstration. So
Yeah,
it's
it moves
getting better
fast.
every.
The team are working fast on this. They really are. Everyone's
Exactly.
excited, and
Yes.
everyone's liking a little bit of fresh air in terms of development. So it's been a very exciting
Yes.
project. We're really looking forward to it. Looking forward to your feedback. Look,
Yes.
in the interest of time, I have been going through while Ryan was talking, responding to as many people as I can. We do have scarily another 50 more questions. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these questions right now because I'm conscious of your time. I'm going to take all these questions. I'm going to then get an export, and I will get responses out today in the next 3 to 4 hours. If you have any questions from that, you've got my personal email. And if I can't help you, I'll make sure Ryan can help you as well. Those of
Definitely,
you
definitely.
Yeah, those of you in the live chat, I really appreciate all your joining in with the conversation. Especially with the technical issues at the front, having your contribution was really nice and enjoyable. Thank you so much for your time. If you do have any questions, again, you've got our email addresses. Oh, they're not there, is it? No, okay. The email address, graham@buddyboss.com. You also have that as part of the social learning strategies, which is the PDF you can download. And of course, you can get the Tutor LMS today, $1,718, $400 off. BuddyBoss Web for free. You'll get the accelerator workshop thrown in. We're giving you the pre-launch, and you also get 20% off Tutor LMS if you need it with the discount code as well. We will be emailing you shortly with the reminders, with the replays. Again, those who are on a replay, we are not sharing the social learning link, but I really appreciate everything that you've all done for joining us today. Ryan, thank you so much for attending, and I'm looking forward
Thank you
to
for
working
having me. It's
closely
been
with
an
this.
amazing experience, and thank you for the app integration and platform
No,
as well.
no, looking forward to it. Thank you so much, everybody. I will get back to you. I promise. I appreciate all of your time, but again, I am conscious of your time. But I'll get back to you all personally. Thank you again.